All right, welcome back to the next installment of the custom home build here on our house. We are working with North Idaho Experience Custom Homes. They are a division of what we do, and they're excellent at what they do. So we're gonna take you through the house, show you guys the updates, and so you can see some of the progress and give you some of the tips that we've learned along the way. Let's go check it out. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel, hit that subscribe button and tap the notifications bell so you can stay up to date on all of our latest content. Our real estate team gets calls, texts, and emails every single day from people just like you trying to learn more about North Idaho. If you guys are looking to make the move right now, 12 months from now, or have a house to sell up here, our real estate team would love to help you with that. All right, we're starting at the front door. This whole front porch area, it's massive. I'm glad we did it this large. Couple of key details that I think saved our butts, and this is where a good builder comes in handy. When we had the footings poured for these posts right here, Spencer, the builder, had them pour a continuous footing that goes all the way underneath this slab. The beauty of that, we realized once it started raining and things started to settle, because this area settled a little bit, we've packed gravel back underneath there, but it came down under the lip of that concrete slab. We were not concerned about it at all because there is a continuous foundation under there, so nothing here is gonna settle. All right, a couple additional details I wanna cover while we're out here on the front porch. Here's something to consider, and this is fairly standard in most homes when you're dealing with a qualified electrician. Well, we added outlets on the front eaves and the back that are on a switch inside the house. So when you hook up your Christmas lights, you can just flip that switch on and turns the lights on. That's kind of cool. Coming back to the front door. So this will have masonry around it. That's why it does not have siding. And here's another cool thing I learned. So the door company, they sent over, this is not the actual front door. This is just a temporary construction door. But they have to put the frame in while they're doing the siding because everything ties in together. So this is the actual door frame, and then this will get swapped out with the real front door once we get to that point in the build process. All right, let's head inside. All right, follow me in the front entryway here, and we'll get to the open staircase. So here's another good point of having a good qualified builder, because in the plans, this was supposed to be open. The framers, they move fast, and they had framed in this whole box. So as you can see, it would have really killed the view as you come into the house to the living room and kitchen. So that was a good catch. This then got opened back up, and now we have this nice big open staircase. It'll have not a cable railing, a metal railing coming up. That'll look good and kind of allow a lot of visual view into the remainder of the house, we have a big wide entryway, but then we also have a closet here that kind of closes it in right at this point. So that was very critical to have this opened up. Also on the staircase, we've got lighting, staircase lighting going up. Not a huge expense to add that during the pre-construction phase or the construction phase, but kind of a cool detail as well to make that custom look. And, you know, I think lighting is a very important topic in general. Okay, all the rough-ins are complete. So electrical, HVAC, and plumbing are all complete right now. What we're waiting on is a couple of final inspections for some of the framing and the HVAC inspection, and then insulation will start actually by the end of the week. Installation will take about 3 days, and then we will be on to the sheetrock phase. Let me show you a couple of things. One thing in particular, follow me in here. So while you're doing electrical rough-ins, you're going to want to start to outline areas where you might want hardwired Ethernet. So this is a guest room / office. We have an Ethernet cable coming into here. We have a couple others in the house for TV, and then, you know, where our son wants his computer, he can have hardwired Ethernet as well. So things like that are what you want to figure out when you're in that rough-in phase, and you'll often do a walkthrough with the electrician and kind of highlight all of those little areas where you need specific things. All right, we're in the great room, and I want to talk about the fireplace a little bit. So this got installed during the framing process. All the venting is out through the roof. Beautiful. I wanted a large fireplace so we could throw huge logs in that thing and just let this baby fire up and crackle. So this mantle, I had to track down the light colored piece of wood because we have a lot of white oak accents in this house. Now, finding a piece of white oak that size would be very difficult and extremely expensive. So this is actually spruce, and I got it from a small mill over in Cataldo, which is east of Coeur d'Alene. And they milled this up for me, kiln dried it. It only actually cost about $250 or something like that. Not a big deal. So that'll be there. It wraps around the fireplace entirely. And then the rest of this is a light colored stone that gets adhered to it. So it should be very beautiful. On the left side will be a full length bench with firewood storage underneath and 2 floating shelves above it. And that'll be a reading nook. So it'll have a padded area on top. On the right side is another full length cabinet with lift up shelves or lift up storage for blankets and things like that. And that's probably where we're going to put our TV. Above the fireplace was a little bit too high for where the seating is. That's something to consider if you guys are thinking about doing that, because this mantle has to be this height above the base of the fireplace. There's rules to that when you have a combustible mantle. So that's the height, the minimum height that it could be. So we didn't want to put a TV above it. So we're probably going to put the TV over here and then have it on an arm that swings out so it's visible from the seating area. All right, here's another key detail to know that you have a good custom home builder. So these little cardboard shims that you see on these studs, these have a purpose. Every 2x4, 2x6, they always have a crown, right? They'll have a slight curve to it, and you can't really avoid that. So what happened here is the builder came back with his level, and he shimmed out the boards to make them flat all the way across. So when you put the sheetrock on, you don't have a wavy looking sheetrock as you look down the side. So these shims are a key detail. And, you know, if you're building a home, make sure your builder's doing that, because it's definitely a nice thing down the road. All right, this is probably my favorite feature about this home. This is the back deck, the back porch. They just finished the Trex decking on it. Sebastian will get some B-roll, but you can see, and this was I didn't even have to say it to the builder because they were going to do it anyway, but this was on my mind. These screw holes are like perfectly in line and beautiful. Everything's done with a little jig to get all the screws in the perfect spot. And then they picture frame the entire thing. It looks absolutely gorgeous. The ceiling in here is very tall. It matches the pitch of the ceiling inside the house, so that just flows right outside as well. And then we have this huge picture or window wall here where you can see one of my favorite views out the back to this valley right here. So this will have, this post they just carried on. It'll be a support for the railing. It'll have cable railing that wraps all the way around. And then we'll probably cap this with something. Either way, it's a good spot to set a drink. And then we've got a staircase coming down right here to access the rest of the yard. Couple of key details, and this is something to consider when you're building your own home, is having access to power and natural gas right where you're going to have a barbecue. This is where my Blackstone's going to sit, and I'll be able to plumb it directly into the natural gas that comes out of the house, so I'll never have to fill a propane tank again in my life, which makes me very happy. I've got water down there just below the deck, and then power right here as well. So little things like that to kind of consider as you're building. And if you're thinking about building in the future, I would start making a list. Kristen and I have remodeled 5 homes. We've been through this a million times, so we already had a running list in our heads of little features that we wanted to make sure we added. Another one I added out here, there's an outlet up there that is on a switch by the back door because I want to run string lights out here on the back porch. You know, those cool ones that dangle. They're beautiful. So that'll be on a switch, so I can just flick that on, and then we'll have that out in the yard as well. All right, this is another favorite spot of mine. This is the small deck accessed off the master bedroom. It has a perfect view down into the field right here where coyotes occasionally come in. So this is a perfect spot to pop out here with the 300 blackout and pop a coyote that's coming after my chickens. So, or a bad guy coming up on my house, someone that doesn't like us on YouTube maybe and wants to snoop around. So perfect angle for that, and I love it. The shooting range is right down here. You can see that as well. And yeah, another one of my favorite views out of the property. All right, last stop of today's tour. We're in the garage, obviously. I have a funny story to tell at the end of this, but I'm going to point out a couple of details first. So in the garage, you got the mechanical room, furnace, hot water heater will be here, water softener. Here's another nice little detail to add to your garage. It's a hot and cold hose bib right here in the garage. So if you're washing a car outside, you can wash it with hot water, or if you want to wash the pups, this would be a great way to tap into that and do that. Moving on in the garage, over on this side, we've got a heater going up in this corner. All that's ready to go. They've got the gas line, the exhaust, everything's ready for that. Because, trust me when I tell you this, your woman will really appreciate having a heated garage in the wintertime in North Idaho. Sorry about the nails. That's just part of construction life. On this side over here, we've got the panels. I've got 400 amps coming to the house, and that's so I can run it down to the barn and the other garage as well. So that's why we have 2 panels. There is a transfer switch that runs to an outlet outside where we can hook up a generator, and then we've got a gas line running outside for that generator. So another little thing to think about, whether you have a generator or not, if you're building, it's a lot easier to do all of this right now than after the fact. Okay, here's my funny story. When they were pouring this slab, it's a huge slab, right? The builder called me and was like, dude, you got to get up here and do something about these chickens. They're walking all over the fresh concrete. So I came up here in a hurry, and I'm like, I don't know how to stop these chickens. They're running all over the property out here. I'm like, I'm prepared to shoot a chicken if I have to, because I need this slab poured. So we had to block off exits and like round up all the chickens and try to get them into the barn and lock them in there because they were running all over the place. They've kind of been a hassle here. They've been going in the construction trailers and laying eggs. They run all through the house. There's chicken shit everywhere. So I'm looking forward to getting all the doors on so we can at least keep the chickens out of here. All right, thank you guys for joining us on this tour of this custom home build with North Idaho Experience Custom Homes. These guys are doing a fantastic job. They've already got quite a few other jobs lined out. And if you guys are looking to build in North Idaho, they are your team. Hit us up if you want to get in contact with them. Next time you see this house, there will be sheetrock on, and I'm excited for that. And then we'll start the texture and paint phase, and we'll update you guys on all of that process as we go. Remember, if you're looking to make the move or you already live here and need to sell, please hit up our real estate team, and let's get that conversation started.